What's up? My name is Rolonsky DeRote, and I'm a mental health advocate in school right now to become a therapist. I'm aiming to bridge the gap between mental health and men by helping them develop language to address their issues. In this podcast, I usually review popular books that many people say have made a significant difference in their lives. But today, what I'm going to do is just give you guys a brief talk about something that's been sitting on my heart, and that's about the literacy crisis. So, to get right into it, I want to share some quotes, some powerful quotes about reading, that really matter to me. So, one quote by George R. Martin says, "A reader lives 1,000 lives before he dies. The man who never reads lives only one." Another one says by Dr. Seuss, "The more you read, the more things you will know. The more things you learn, the more places you'll go." Frederick Douglass once said, "Once you learn to read, you will be forever free." And Kofi Annan says, "Literacy is a bridge from misery to hope." All right, so there's some very good quotes that I really hold dear to my heart because I do believe that reading is a superpower and it is something that isn't a want but a need. And where this is really coming from for me is growing up and seeing that reading wasn't popular when I was a kid, and I being a young adult and still seeing it's not really popular among people. And I'm a teacher right now, and I see that reading is definitely not popular amongst this age group. At least when I was young, kids were at least into fiction books and reading all types of fiction books. Harry Potter, Percy, was the Percy guy, all those stuff. Oh, there was a lot of Judy B books, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. All these books, they were very popular. The Blueford series, a lot of these books. Now, I don't see kids with any books at all. And this is a problem because I see this is directly affecting their ability to think critically. And this is an issue, a big issue in my opinion, because the truth of the matter is that you have to know how to think. You really do have to know how to think because there's so many things that go on through your day-to-day life. Everybody can't spoon feed you everything. So you have to be able to develop your mind to a point to where you could make your own decisions. And to be able to make decisions or good decisions, you have to be able to think critically about the decision that you're going to make. All right. But going back to, the literacy crisis, and it's not to just to get on the kids, because the truth of the matter is, I'm a young adult, and I've seen these adults, they don't read. They don't read. So, of course, their kids don't read as well. Kids are going to do what they see their parents do. And if you're a parent that doesn't read or doesn't value reading enough to do it, why would your kid? But kids are perfect and very well versed in knowing how to use a phone, how to use a tablet, how to use TikTok, the internet, whatever it is, digital devices, but they don't know how to pick up a book and read. And this is the other thing. Digital learning is not the same as reading and writing on paper. It really is not. There's something in the brain, there's something in the mind. It doesn't connect or doesn't make that connection the same way it does with pencil and paper that it does on a screen. It's just not the same thing. It might feel like the same thing, but inside, it's not doing the same thing, right? So, writing in my master's program. Oh, that reminds me of something I started to do. So, I've always valued reading, and even when I didn't like it, I still forced myself to do it, and I get back into the groove of it. And I'm in my second semester of my master's program at UCF, and I've decided moving forward, I'm gonna write all my notes in a notebook, pen and paper. And the reason is because I took notes in my first semester on my computer, but the truth of the matter is that, well, I can't speak for everybody. I can speak for me. I do not go back to those notes and read them. For what? I don't need to. I didn't do it in middle school. Didn't do it in high school. Didn't do it in undergrad. I'm definitely not doing it in the master's program, right? But I realized that if I'm not gonna go back and read this stuff anyways, why do I need to put it on my computer and have it saved? Write it down in a notebook because at least I'm practicing my critical thinking skills and my writing skills and helping get this information that I'm learning in class into my brain. And also, one thing I like about it as well too is that of course I'm not going to write everything down that the teacher has on the board, but that's not the point of it. The point of it is I could take that information, think about it critically, and put it down on my notebook, an abbreviated version, or I could make a little picture, whatever. It's my notebook. I could get to do what I want to do, but at least I'm working my mind, I'm working my brain. I can make a little image in my composition book, write certain words, this and that, to make a connection. But I'm probably never going to read. I haven't read since the semester has started. I don't go back to that book and read it. There's a lot of good information in there, but I'm not gonna go back and read it because there's really no point for me to. Like, at least I haven't seen the point, unless if I'm studying for a midterm or a final. But I really don't go back and read it. But it's working. It's working on being able to make my brain work instead of just typing on the computer. I'm actually using pen and paper. You know, this is something I wanted to share. I was in a mindset of how do I be more efficient and save this information. But the truth of the matter is I didn't look back at the information when I had it on my computer. I might as well write it down in a notebook, just, food for thought. And also, something else, there was a hump I had to get over, and the hump was paying for books. So a good book on average could be about $20, right? On average. And one thing is I had to get over the hump of being able to drop a $20 bill on a book. And I realized the reason that was so hard for me was because that's not something I saw growing up. I didn't see anybody buy books for $20. So the idea of me doing it seemed ludicrous. Why would I spend $20 on a book? That seems so expensive, because the people around me weren't doing it. And the people around me don't read. Go figure. So as I started to value education, I started to value books more, because books can give me that education I'm looking for and that knowledge I'm looking for. So now, as I started to see the value I could get from these books, $20 is chump change to me compared to the value I get back, and that I could apply to my life, the experiences I get and the perspectives I gain, because that helps me move through my life. Right. So this $20 book, I'm spending $20 on a book that could change my perspective and help me get a $60,000 job, a $70,000 job, or put me on a path to go get my undergrad or my master's degree, or either help me build certain friendships or relationships with people, that could do, not necessarily just do for me, but, could add a lot of value to my life, because I have something I could talk to them about that I learned in a book or an experience from a book. Books are extremely powerful. So when I take a look at it like that, that $20 is nothing compared to the ROI that I'm gonna get in the future. And that is the mindset I have. So spending $20 on a book is nothing to me today. Even if I had to spend $50, I've spent $50 on a book before just for education. I have. I think $75 too. But that's because I value what I believe what I'm getting in that book is much more valuable than that price tag. But it wasn't always like that. It wasn't always like that. It is a point you need to get to where you have that perspective that information, knowledge, is highly important and highly effective, and it could really change your life. It's the same way, I'm talking about books here, but it's the same when it comes to working out. I remember going to Orange Theory. A lot of people that I know I've talked to, when I told them I spent $180 per month on an Orange Theory membership, they lost their minds. But I was like, bro, this is an amazing price for the value that I'm getting. But you see, you have to be in the right mindset, the right headspace to see that that is such a small dollar amount compared to small dollar amount when you're looking at the big picture compared to the big picture. Because the truth is that a lot of people at an older age are spending so much money on medical bills because their health is jacked up. They're sick and they're spending thousands of dollars in medical bills to try to stay alive. Extremely unhealthy. Versus spending $180 a month in my 20s and my 30s, maybe even my 40s, not nowhere near as much. Matter of fact, I'll do the math right now. So let's say if I did the math. If the membership is $180, say $1,000, right? I divide that by 180. That's about 5.5 months I could get to go to the gym. Now you multiply that times 2. That's nowhere near as much. $1,000. $1,000. You see, $1,000 is nothing in medical. Is nothing in medical debt. It's really around $10, $15, $20, $30,000. Like, medical debt is a big problem in America. But that could have been avoided if you just spent 10% of that medical debt going to the gym. And it's not just going to the gym is going to help. It's the people who's in there, because the people who are in there care about nutrition. They care about health. They care about their lives and their bodies. And in turn, what we say is gonna fall onto you. How do people say it's gonna rub off on you? There we go. It's gonna rub off on you as well too. So now you're putting yourself in an environment where other people care as much. So you're getting so much value for $180. If you're thinking about where I gotta lift weights and it's on $180, of course you're never gonna see that. It's the same thing with the book. You have to understand what it is you're doing it for and the things you could get out of it. But if you can't see the value, it means nothing. For example, like this iPhone right here, this thing costs I don't know, about like $700, $600. If you brought this back to 1950s, they wouldn't know what to do with this. We know how valuable this phone is. We know how valuable this phone is and what this phone could do. A lot of people in today's world would be happy to have it. But back in 1950, nobody would know what it was, and nobody would really know what to do with it. They don't know how powerful this phone is, right? They don't know how powerful it is because of their perspective. But it's the same thing with the books. If your perspective changes and you start to understand how powerful this thing is, yes, you'll start to value it, right? So it's really first really understanding how powerful reading is and why it's important and how it could change your lives. And with that, in turn, practicing. And practicing is honestly just reading. You got to get in the habit of reading, and it gets easier and easier and easier over time. And then as you continue to read more, you run into more information because you're reading to see how valuable reading you can see how valuable reading is even more, whatever I'm trying to say, you get what I'm trying to say. And then you continue on with the process, and it really can change your life. But there is a literacy crisis in America. Majority of people reading below that can't even read at a high school level. That's an issue. Adults cannot read at a high school level. So what does that say for the future generations moving forward? And that's another reason why, like me, I pride myself on reading and being able to articulate myself and being able to think critically and being able to write and speak. Because the thing is, these are very important skills that are being lost because the critical thinking that we used to do as people is being done for us by AI and computer and the internet. And the truth is that this stuff is, yeah, it's cool and all, it's here, whatever everybody says revolutionary, but until the revolution happens, we're all we got. The truth of the matter. And AI can't replace every single job, no matter whoever is piping it up and think it's the thing that's going to transform the world. There's a lot of things that they thought were going to transform the world. But one thing stands true is that having an education, having knowledge is extremely powerful. And if you really want to attain a lot of knowledge, you have to learn how to read. These books are so powerful. There's so many books out here, and people are really telling their life stories, like good intentions, telling their life stories, giving you good information just for the sake of human advancement and love and care and a higher power. And they're giving you this information, but if you can't read, you'll never take it in. It's so important. But yeah, but that's basically what I'm going to share today. I'm gonna probably end up posting a book review in the next week or so. I've been so busy with school and work and life, life be life. But I'm gonna get a book review on. I've never stopped reading, but I just didn't do a book review yet. Like I said, read on.